All right, let's address the question I keep getting asked. Are we in a real estate bubble? Is the market about to crash? I don't know, do I look like I have a crystal ball to you? No, I don't, but I can point out a couple differences in the things that I saw or heard going on in the early 2000s. First of all, the lending regulation. To get a home loan now requires everything except for maybe a blood test. I mean, they're checking your interest rates, of course. They're checking your credit scores, of course. They're checking your bank statements. They're checking your debt to income ratio. So basically, can you afford this house? Does your lifestyle or your monthly payments put you over the limit for being able to afford the home payment on this home? Back in the day, you could kind of supply a couple of documents and they would almost write you a blank check. But now it's not the case. You have to sign off and prove that you can afford this home these days. Now, does that mean that life doesn't change, and for a few people, when they could originally afford a home, now on the back end, with a job change or some other sort of life change, that's not quite the case? Of course not. But lenders are doing a much better job now than they were of making sure that people buying homes have been qualified. That said, the other main thing, and the biggest that I'm seeing a difference in, is the supply and demand of homes. Originally, in the early 2000s, there was more of a balanced supply and demand. And so a house would come on the market, there'd be a normal amount of need for that house. However, we are in unprecedented times of homes not being available to someone who is wanting to buy a house. Houses are at an all-time demand. Buyers are still desperate to go find homes. Whereas back in the early 2000s, that demand dropped so low that you had so many builders even just stop trying to build houses. So as it sits right now, the United States is still about 5 million houses short to meet current demand. So there's going to have to be a dramatic change in supply and demand ratios to make all that balance out and especially start to decline. That said, no one can predict everything, but I feel pretty confident that we're not going to see the bottom fall out anytime soon. With bank interest rising, we do expect a little bit of a cooling in demand. Some borrowers are going to be priced out of the market because now that $200,000 house that they could afford when it was a 3% interest rate is now quite a bit more expensive at a 5% interest rate, just because the interest rate has increased. Nothing changed with the house. That said, there's going to have to be dramatic changes to see the bottom fall out and a true crash take place. So if you have questions about your specific situation or you're wondering what this might look like for you, hit us up. We'd love to walk through what the future could hold to be specific to your situation. Thanks.